The camera's red light blinked on, and Remy Ma took a deep breath. No makeup artist, no fancy lighting, no background music, just her, a chair, and the truth she'd been holding in for years. She looked into the lens as if she was looking into her past, her voice steady, her eyes tired but strong. Loyalty, she said, used to mean everything, until I learned not everyone defines it the same. That one line set the internet on fire. For the first time, Remy wasn't rapping about pain, she was speaking it. What started as a sit-down interview turned into a global confession. Every word carried weight, every pause, emotion. By the time she finished, the audience wasn't just watching a story. They were witnessing a woman reclaiming her power. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the cameras. A single spotlight glowed against a soft gray backdrop. Remy Ma sat still, eyes lowered, hands clasped together. For a moment, she didn't look like a celebrity, she looked like a woman carrying the weight of too many unspoken truths. When the interviewer finally broke the silence and asked, "What does loyalty mean to you?" Remy took a long breath and said quietly, "It used to mean everything, until it broke me." That one sentence changed the tone of the entire conversation. To understand her pain, you have to go back, before the headlines, before the interviews, to the time when loyalty was her armor, and love was her reason to fight. In the early 2000s, Remy was at the top of her game. Her name carried power, her pen was fierce, and her future seemed unstoppable. But life has a strange way of testing even the strongest. When legal troubles hit, the same world that once praised her turned its back overnight. People disappeared, calls stopped coming, and fans moved on to the next star. But one man didn't leave Papoose. He stood by her through every storm, visited her when no cameras were around, wrote letters, sent words of strength, and reminded her that love could outlive time. And when she came home after 6 long years, the world called it Black love's greatest story. People said, "That's loyalty." But what Remy didn't say back then was that time had changed everything. Prison doesn't just cage you, she said in the interview, eyes glistening. It freezes moments while life moves on without you. She wasn't bitter, just honest. Because love, no matter how strong, can bend under the weight of distance and change. When she returned, the industry was different. So was he. And somewhere in the space between growth and routine, they both started losing each other without realizing it. She spoke about late nights in the studio, how she'd look over and see an empty chair where he used to sit. She spoke about scrolling through headlines, reading rumors, and feeling the ache of not knowing what was real anymore. But through it all, she stayed silent. Because loyalty, the kind she grew up believing in, meant protecting what you love, even when it hurts. "I didn't want to embarrass him," she said softly. "I didn't want to feed the noise. I just kept hoping it would feel like us again." The interviewer nodded but didn't speak. There was nothing to say. The raw honesty in her tone was enough. Remy explained how loyalty can become a trap, how it can make you hold on long after the bond has faded. She described it as waiting for someone who stopped waiting for you. For months, she tried to fix what couldn't be fixed. Dinner conversations turned into silence. Shared dreams turned into solo plans. She threw herself into her music, hoping the beats would drown the emptiness. But pain has a way of finding you, even in your passion. "I started realizing I was loyal to a version of him that no longer existed," she admitted. "And worse, I was losing myself trying to keep that version alive." Her voice cracked slightly, but she didn't cry. She smiled through the hurt, that kind of smile only people who've been through too much wear. As she spoke, fans watching live began posting clips online. Within hours, phrases like "Remy's truth" and "from loyalty to heartbreak" were trending across social media. People weren't just listening, they were feeling. Because her story wasn't just hers, it was everyone's who's ever loved someone longer than they should have. She leaned forward then, elbows on her knees, eyes focused, voice calm. People think heartbreak happens when someone leaves, but it really happens the moment you realize they stopped showing up. Those words hung heavy in the air. The interviewer lowered her gaze, trying not to interrupt the moment. Remy continued, "I used to think strength meant fighting for what you love, but sometimes, it's knowing when the fight is over." That honesty, the kind that strips away pride, made her look more powerful than ever, for a woman known for her toughness. This vulnerability was revolutionary. She spoke about betrayal, not as gossip, but as growth. She refused to name names, refused to play victim. Instead, she said, "Everyone's fighting a battle you can't see. I don't hate nobody, but I had to stop bleeding for people who wouldn't bandage me." At that, even the crew behind the camera went quiet, because she wasn't just telling her story, she was teaching. The next few minutes turned into a lesson on She said she used to believe that loyalty meant never giving up, but now she knows it means never giving up on yourself. And when the interviewer asked, "Would you do it all again?" Remy smiled that same calm, resilient smile, and said, "Yes, because without heartbreak, I wouldn't have found me." The room erupted in quiet admiration, and for the first time in years, Remy Ma wasn't being seen as the tough rapper or the loyal wife. She was being seen as what she always was, a woman who loved, lost, and learned. The first part of her story ended there, but the audience knew this wasn't the end. This was the moment before rebirth, the silence before the comeback, the truth before transformation. The next segment of the interview began with a softer tone. Remy Ma sat taller this time, her energy different, calm, but powerful. The heartbreak had been told, the pain had been named. Now, it was time for what came after the rise. After everything fell apart, she began. "I stopped chasing peace from people. I started building it within myself." Those words marked the start of her new chapter. 4 months after her heartbreak became public, the world watched closely, waiting for her to break down, to clap back, to crumble. But Remy did the opposite. She disappeared. She stopped posting, stopped responding, stopped explaining. And in that silence, she found something she hadn't had in years: clarity. "When you stop talking, you start hearing your own truth," she said. And mine was simple. I had to stop letting love be the only thing that defined me. She started journaling every morning, writing about the woman she wanted to be, not the one the world saw, not the one she had to defend, but the one she buried under loyalty and expectations. Each day, she'd wake up earlier, play music that healed instead of hurt, and sit by the window with her thoughts. No entourage, no phone, no noise, just Remy, raw, real, and rebuilding. She said, "I realized that self-love isn't loud. It's the quiet decision to not chase people who make you question your worth." And with that mindset, her creativity returned, but stronger. She started writing again, not for charts or applause, but for truth. Every lyric came from her scars. Every verse carried her lessons. The pain had become her ink, and the mic her therapy. When her team first heard the new tracks, they said it sounded like a woman reborn. Gone were the defensive tones, the rage, the pressure to prove. In its place, wisdom, grace, and a confidence that could only come from surviving something deep. "I stopped rapping for validation," she smiled. "Now I rap to free myself." And the world felt that shift. Clips of her performances started going viral again, not because she was shouting, but because she was glowing. People commented things like, "This is healed energy," and you can feel her peace in her voice. Behind the scenes, she started helping younger female artists navigate fame, loyalty, and love. She told them, "Don't let your heart be the only thing you invest. Build your vision too." Those who worked with her said she became a mentor, not the tough, intimidating figure people imagined, but someone deeply compassionate, brutally honest, and full of perspective. Still, there were days she missed the past. Moments when a song, a scent, or a memory brought everything flooding back. But instead of running from those feelings, she faced them. "Healing doesn't mean forgetting," she said. "It means remembering without losing yourself in it." That quote became one of the most shared lines online. Millions resonated with her calm power, because she wasn't promoting revenge, she was promoting rebirth. The interviewer asked her, "What do you think love means to you now?" Remy paused, smiled softly, and said, "Love isn't supposed to drain you, it's supposed to grow you. If it costs you peace, it's too expensive." The audience in the studio snapped their fingers, that poetry-like energy that comes when truth hits deep. She laughed then, the kind of laugh that felt light, the laugh of a woman who made it through the fire and refused to let the ashes define her. "I used to think losing someone meant the end of my story," she added, "but really, it was the beginning of me." Her voice softened, but her eyes gleamed with strength. She talked about rebuilding her boundaries, her finances, her focus, how she stopped seeking closure and started writing her own. "Closure is a myth," she explained. "You don't get it from people, you get it from accepting what they showed you." Every sentence felt like a page from a healing manual. By the end of the interview, the energy in the room had shifted. You could feel pride, respect, and quiet awe. Remy Ma wasn't just speaking, she was leading. As the cameras cut, she stood up, thanked the crew, and hugged the interviewer. She looked peaceful, like someone who finally knew her power. Later that night, Clips of her saying, "I had to stop bleeding for people who wouldn't bandage me, and if it costs your peace, it's too expensive," flooded the internet again. But this time, it wasn't sympathy that trended, it was inspiration. People across platforms started tagging her, writing things like, "This interview healed me. Remy just spoke every woman's truth. She's not broken, she's blooming." For the first time in years, Remy didn't respond with words. She posted a single photo, sitting by the window, sun on her face, eyes closed with the caption, "The storm made me, but the sunshine kept me." That image broke the internet, millions of shares, countless edits, endless love. Because everyone saw it, the transformation, the peace, the rebirth. And that's when it hit people. Heartbreak didn't destroy her, it evolved her. She didn't lose loyalty, she learned to redirect it toward herself, her art, her purpose. Now, when fans hear her new tracks, they don't just hear bars, they hear wisdom. Every beat feels like healing. Every word feels like closure. Remy Ma's truth didn't just shake the industry, it redefined strength for a generation that mistook silence for weakness. She ended her interview with a final line, the one that echoed across every heart that heard it. "I may have lost love, but I found peace, and that's the greatest comeback of all." The camera zoomed out, the lights dimmed, and her face faded into the soft glow of resilience. The story that began with heartbreak ended in power, a power earned through pain, truth, and transformation. Remy Ma, from loyalty to heartbreak, to rebirth. If this story touched your heart, then hit that button, share it, and subscribe for more real stories of pain, power, and transformation. Because every week, we bring you moments that remind you strength isn't about never breaking. It's about learning how to rebuild. Tell us in the comments below, have you ever had to walk away to find peace? Your story might just inspire someone else to heal. And remember, loyalty is beautiful, but self-worth is sacred. This is not the end of Remy Ma's journey. It's the start of her new legacy. Stay tuned, because her truth is just beginning to unfold. Raw, real, and unstoppable.